Here it is, Tuesday time, week 14. Happy New Year. Whatever year you're watching this, odds are you're watching it in the new year of the academic year. Well, that takes place in the academic year. You know what I mean. Let's look at the words of the week. This week, we've got 10 regular words, and we have, of course, the academic word of the week. We have waft, quip, neophyte, stigma, travesty, anathema, non sequitur, cloying, vicarious, and triage. And then we have the academic word of the week, consent. Now, to waft is a verb. It's to carry or travel softly and gently through the air or the water. Picture like dandelion fluff. When you blow it on dandelion, you know, with the little like feathery seeds on it, and they gently drift through the air. That is to waft through the air. Now, it's more often than not used to describe smells and how they travel. They waft gently over to you, right? They just move along the currents of the air in the room. You could use it more figuratively and metaphorically, like a blown kiss could waft through the air toward you. But really, we all know someone just kissed their hands and waved at you. Anyway, a quip. A quip is a noun. It's a clever or witty response or comment. Can also be used as a verb to indicate making the clever or witty response. Now, they're not necessarily insults like burns. I suppose they could be, but it's just a funny, like, haha, here's a funny response I have, a quick joke that they've made in the moment. Now, as Miss Douglas says here, typically Mr. Bowman raises his arms in self-congratulation after he makes a quip, whether it's good or not, and sometimes he demands a high five. I would beg to differ. I sometimes raise my arms in triumph. I often demand a high five. Miss Douglas denies me the high five, and I wait until she finally gives in and relents, because it's rude not to return a high five. That's what I think. All right, neophyte. This is a noun. It's someone who is inexperienced or new at something. All right, if you are a neophyte, you haven't done the thing before. Neo means new. So if you try something totally new, you try to do something you've never tried to do before, you are a neophyte at that task. Now, stigma is a noun. It's a mark of shame or disgrace. It can be literal or metaphorical. Someone can have a stigma about them. There's not literally a mark on them of shame or disgrace, right? It can be literal. In the book, The Scarlet Letter, a woman has to wear a red A on her clothing because she has committed adultery, and that is part of her punishment. Everyone gets to know her shame. That is her stigma. They made a high school version of it called Easy A that I've never actually seen, but that's what this picture's from. Now, in medical terms, it's a wound, right, or an abnormality. It's an injury of some kind. Now, originally, the word was used to describe wounds that were inflicted upon others for punishment. You weren't just being figuratively going to have a wound of this idea that you were being stigmatized, right? That's the verb form of it. You would be branded with a hot iron and have it shown on your skin physically as a wound, a way to show your shame and your dishonor to everybody, and that would be a stigma. So it's a pretty serious thing. A travesty. A travesty is a noun. It's a terrible and shallow version of a thing. This can be deliberate or not deliberate. It's not trying to be bad, but it is bad, right? If I go to an art show and there's just a painting where someone clearly put a happy face on it, that is a travesty of art. It is a terrible and shallow version of it. Even if the person painting it thought that they were being very clever, let's face it, they really weren't, all right? Now, anathema is a noun. It's a person or a thing or a concept that is absolutely hated by someone else. It's something that they find repulsive. Nickelback fits both of these things. They are a travesty of a band. Their music is just awful. And they are anathema to me. I find them repulsive and gross, and I hate them. I don't like them at all. Another thing that is anathema to me, Guy Fieri. He is anathema to me. I hate his rotten guts. That's just what it is. All right. Non sequitur. You may think that was a non sequitur, but it wasn't really. Non sequitur is a noun. Now, this is a term that comes from Latin, and it's used when you talk about logic and argument, all right? The Latin meaning of it is does not follow. You use the noun non sequitur to label an argument or a phrase that someone's making, all right? It's used when someone says something in an argument that is either from out of nowhere or it makes a conclusion that doesn't make any sense considering what was said before, all right? If I say to you, how's the weather? And you say, I love cheese. That's a non sequitur. It doesn't make any sense with what I just said to you, right? In this comic, they have a good one. What the heck's a non sequitur? And the person goes, well, and then, excuse me, could I trouble you for a cup of sugar? Damn it, interrupting rhino, get out of here. Now, you may think that was the non sequitur, because that'd be kind of funny, but the rhino doesn't know he's barging in their conversation. Well, he knows he's barging in the conversation. He doesn't know that he's saying something completely irrelevant. But the real non sequitur is at the end. Anyway, to answer your question, yes, chili is considered a soup. All right, that doesn't answer the question at all. That is a non sequitur. Cloying. Cloying is an adjective. It's something that causes disgust because there's too much of it. It's something that's usually good, but when you have a lot of it, it turns gross. Sometimes someone wears too much perfume, and that is cloying. They have on so much that instead of being something nice, it like gives you a stomachache or a headache to smell them. Sometimes you can have a dessert that is too cloying. Sweets are wonderful. I like sweets a lot. I'm a big fan of sugar. But you'll have a dessert sometimes where there's just way too much. It's just like 5 kinds of chocolate, and there's fudge, and there's strawberries, and there's caramel, and there's a big thing of whipped cream, and you just, whoa, God. You have one bite, and you feel like you have a stomachache. That is cloying, right? Now, vicarious is an adjective. If you experience something through someone else actually experiencing it, you have vicariously experienced that thing. To vicariously live through someone else is to watch someone else live their life, but you feel like you're experiencing it yourself. So as it says here, here's a brand new year of you living vicariously through your kids' sporting activities. We've seen this, right? The parent who sports didn't really go the way they wanted them to, so they heap it all on their kids, and now their kids are going to do it, and the parent like lives through their kid. It's kind of a weird, creepy thing. If you ever see like Dance Moms, that terrible reality TV show, you'll see these moms who are way too into it. Nothing wrong with kids dancing, nothing wrong with moms taking their kids dancing. But the ones who are living through their kids, that's vicarious. The little kids in the costume, that's adorable. Mom in the costume with her, that's kind of weird. Mom needs to do her own thing. Triage, it's a noun. It's the process of quickly sorting and organizing things in order to figure out how to best take action. If you're going to triage, you say, okay, oh my God, there's all this stuff I need to take care of. What's the most important thing? What do I need to take care of first? Now, this is borrowed from hospitals and medical units in war. When all the soldiers would come in hurt, they'd have to look at all the soldiers and see, okay, who's got the worst wound that I can treat right now? And I give them the attention first. If there was a soldier coming in with something that was clearly fatal and nothing was going to help them, you moved on to the next person. It's grim, but that's kind of how the world works. If there's someone who comes in and all they did was twist their ankle, they can wait. The triage process says, I can wait on the dude with a broken ankle. This guy, well, unfortunately, they're in very bad shape. This other person, I can help them. They're in bad shape, I can help them, but I got to do it right now. That's triage. You might do this with your homework. You look at your homework, you have all this homework, you're like, all right, what do I have to do? Well, English class is due tomorrow, and I know Bowman's going to have a quiz for me, so I got to get it done. Math, well, it's big. I have it later in the day. I have it after lunch, so I'm going to do it during lunch. Bowman's class has to happen first, right? In history class, you have homework, but it's a project. It's 2 weeks away. You're like, I'll do that one later, all right? That's a triage process. All right, now, the La Quinta High School academic word of the week is consent. It's a verb. It's to give permission for something to happen or to be done. So as a noun, it's the permission itself, all right? If I give you my consent, I give you permission for whatever thing we were just discussing. Consent is an important idea these days for reasons that I probably shouldn't go into on this video. The idea is if someone doesn't explicitly tell you that what's going on is okay with them, then you can't do it, all right? Consent is an incredibly important idea. Now, the consent itself is them saying, yes, I am okay with this. Please continue in your current course of action. All right, let's go to the next one. Our idiom of the week, crack the whip. That's my crack the whip sound effect. Not my crap the wick, because that's a different thing. That's when you poop a candle. All right, so to crack the whip is to use your authority to make someone obey you or to work more efficiently, but it's usually by threatening them, all right? Every so often, your PE teachers crack the whip to make sure you meet your journal due dates. If you don't, I don't know if the gym teachers do this. I'm going to make it up. I'm sure they don't. We have wonderful gym teachers. They might say something like, if you don't have your journal in, I'm going to make you run another mile, right? If you don't do your vocab homework, I'm going to make next week's words twice as hard. They make you work harder, but they do it through a threat, all right? You don't have to reach very far to see where this would come from. Through history, when there have been slaves or servants or whatever else, they would often be beaten in order to make them work harder. Now, to crack the whip isn't necessarily to hit them with it, but to remind them that the whip is there. I will punish you. You crack the whip to show the punishment potential and the pain potential of it, right? You crack the whip to let them know, if you don't do what I want you to do, you're gonna feel the sting of this whip. All right, those are the words of the week. That's the idiom of the week. That's everything you need this week. Well, maybe not everything, but it's a lot. So, there you go. Good luck. See ya during the quiz.